What's up, y'all? I'm out here on the range, as you can see back behind me, on a sunny but chilly day out here. Temperature's actually only in the 40s right now with a really cold wind blowing. So as you can see, I had to go find me a jacket. It's that crazy time of year though. After today and tomorrow, I think it is, the next week or so is gonna be back in the 70s. But this ain't gonna keep me from getting some more good testing done. This one right here should be a really interesting 5.7 versus 22 mag battle. So of course, the jelly contraption set up, ready to go with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now I've done one test so far in these. It was actually a really good 9mm test, so I'll leave a link up above if y'all want to check that out. But for this one here, again, we're looking at some 5.7 versus some 22 mag, and to be more specific, they're both Hornady critical defense. Now I have tested both of these rounds separately on their own out of some different barrel lengths in the past. Nothing really on my new setup and nothing head to head like this. Now this seems to always be kind of a comparison that we make when we test 5.7, talking about how it compares to 22 mag, you know, just comparing different things as far as cost, performance, so on and so forth. And y'all know I'm not the biggest 5.7 fan, so I always like to give it a hard time and talking about how 22 Magnum's better, so on and so forth. But I hope y'all know I'm just kidding about that. If you're talking pound for pound, round for round, barrel for barrel, there's no question that 5.7 absolutely edges out 22 mag in performance. But it's fun to carry on about it anyway. And this should be a really interesting test, and some of the math here will give you an idea of what you really truly looking at as far as the difference between these two rounds. So for the 5.7 by 28, we've got a 40 grain FTX projectile. Velocity on the box is saying 1810, and that was measured out of like a 4.8 inch barrel, I think it was. So we're working with that today. And in the past, this has met that velocity out of the rock I'm using. And then for the 22 mag, we've actually got a 45 grain projectile. So 5 grains heavier, still their FTX projectile with the insert in the tip. Now you've got a couple of different ballistics on this. One of them's from a 24 inch barrel and one of them's from a 1 7/8. So the one from the 1 7/8 is saying 1,000 feet per second. Now we're longer than that, but then the 24 inch is saying 1,700. So we're much shorter than that. Now even with this being 5 grains heavier, we're gonna need to see 1,700 out of this WMP that I'm using to match the energy of this 5.7, which just simply isn't gonna happen. So if you look at it, 1,700 is what you get from a 24 inch barrel. So that basically, you can kind of say that across the board when you're comparing 5.7 by 28 and 22 mag. You really need a rifle length barrel for a 22 mag to match the performance out of 5.7 from a handgun. Here's your 2 cartridges, obviously 22 mag there, 5.7 there. You can see 22 mag nickel plated, 5.7 is not. That's one of the differences, but obviously you got a bottleneck there, straight wall, but a big difference, of course, is your mag is rim fire and your 5.7 is center fire. And then as far as what I'm testing them out of, like I kind of already mentioned, for the 5.7, we've got the Rock 5.7 here with the 4.7 inch barrel. And then for the 22 mag, I'm gonna use my Walther WMP. This has got a 4.5 inch barrel, so just a hair shorter than the Rock, but that's about as close as I could get. So again, I already know just based on math and numbers alone, this 5.7 is gonna take the win here technically, but it should be interesting anyway. Let's get it all set up and see what they do. All right, let's see what kind of velocity we get from this stuff. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each one, starting with this 5.7 first. Now, like I always mention with this lab radar, you're gonna see multiple velocity readings. The large numbers at the muzzle here, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got 10, 15, and 25, and 50 set. Now remember, the box on this 5.7 is saying 1810, and that's out of a 4.8, and I'm pretty sure we always exceed that, so I expect over that right here. 1852, 1802, 1792, 1796, and 1812. So pretty sure that's about what we normally see. A couple of them under, a few of them over. Let's check out the average. All right, so our 5-round average right there was 1,811 feet per second. We had an extreme spread of 60 with a 24.4 standard deviation. So opened on up as far as the spread right there for whatever reason. 1,811 average though, so it did average what the box said. Let's get it reset and see what that 22 mag does. All right, let's see what this Magnum does, y'all. I'll do 5 rounds of it also. Remember now, the box on this was saying 1,000 from basically a 2-inch barrel, so 4.5. I mean, if I'm guessing, being at this Magnum, we're probably gonna get a nice little jump. I would guess around 1,200, something like that through here. Maybe not quite that much. 1323. Glad to see that. 1306. 1303. 1358. And 1244, I was gonna say that last one sounded almost like a little bit of a dud. Let's check out the average. All right, so better than what I thought, but still a far cry from that 5.7. Our 5-point average was 1,307 feet per second. Extreme spread was 114 with a standard deviation of 41.5, and that's all because of that really low 1244. So if you took that out, you'd have a higher average and obviously a much, much lower extreme spread. But, I mean, how can you take that out? What if that was the one that you squeeze the trigger on? That's just the way it is. And is that because it's rimfire, or is that just chance like you might could get with any load? Who's really to say there? But 1307 here, and if you remember on that 5.7, it was 1811, so you talking about 504 feet per second difference. So even taking that real low whatever it was out, it's still not even close as far as numbers are concerned. But all that being said, I think both of these are actually going to do a pretty good job in the gel. But let's get it all reset, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's rim versus center. Which one's the winner? Jelly time. I'm gonna put one of each into the gel, starting with the 5.7 first. Now, I already know we're gonna get good performance from this. This is, in my opinion, one of the better performing 5.7 rounds as far as just, you know, commercially available off the shelf type stuff. Well, let's see what we get this time. All right, I'm sure that's another good one. Let me go check it out. All right, that one's looking really good down there. No surprise, it looks pretty much like it has the last time or two I've tested that stuff. So gives you a nice example of how consistent that performance is gonna be from that critical defense. So let's see what this 22 mag does. I think this is gonna do well also, but it's not gonna have the energy now. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, my regular chrono decided not to give us the reading there. So I'll be putting on the average, but it's gonna be close to that. Let's see if we can get something out of this Magnum. All right, that should have been another good one. Let's go check it out. All right, let's take us a look at this stuff, y'all. Really nothing surprising down here, and pretty much what I've seen out of both of these every time I've tested, or most of the times I've tested. So on the top here, again, that was the 5.7 by 28. As you can see, immediate expansion right here, no doubt about it. Nice energy transfer, nice disruption. You start fragmenting, there's the little insert there. You got a bunch of jacket here, a bunch of lead. So pretty much what we always see from this thing is a bunch of fragmentation. Not a bunch, I guess, but a pretty decent amount, and some nice expansion down here too. And as far as the penetration, looks to be right at about 14 inches. And then of course below that's the 22 Magnum. Again, this one comes in, nice disruption right there, pretty much all the way through the track. Now with this one, what happened is, looks like it kind of just mashed together and just got mangled up instead of real nice controlled expansion. I actually don't see the red insert at all anywhere through that track, so I'm not sure what happened there. I'll have to look once I pull it to see if I can see the insert, but I don't see it anywhere. So maybe it just kind of fragmented the insert and folded in on itself. If I'm remembering correctly, we've seen this exact type of performance from this same round before like this, where it just kind of squeezed itself together instead of expanding. But that being said, it still did what it needed to do, I would say. And as far as penetration, you got a little bit extra forward momentum, but it looks like it's about 2 inches shy of that 5.7. But let's see exactly what it was for sure. The 5.7 by 28, you've got 13 3/4 inches of penetration. So again, pretty much what we've been seeing from that one. The 22 mag down there on the bottom is at exactly 12 inches. So within the FBI standards, but for me, y'all know I'd like to see a little bit more than that. And here's your close look. Again, 5.7 on the top, 22 Magnum on the bottom. You can just tell, you know, I talk about not putting a whole lot of weight in the way the disruption in this gel looks, but it will give you a general idea. I mean, you can see just how much more turbulent, I guess is a good word to use, that 5.7 is than the 22 mag. If you follow it on through here, fragmentation right there, there's your 5.7, nice frag expansion on that one. And then if we go down here to the 22 mag, you can see no kind of expansion, but you did get some mangled up fragmentation, frag expansion, I guess we could even call this one. And then for your top view, this one right here, looking at it this way, is going to be the 5.7, the 22 Magnum down there on the bottom. So follow it on through here again. There's that fragmentation going on. Your projectile from the 5.7, and then again at the bottom, that's your 22 Magnum. And then here's a look at the projectiles. Definitely a bunch of mangled up mess with these. This one right here is the 22 mag. This one's the 5.7. Big difference. You can see this 5.7 actually did what it was supposed to. Really nice expansion. This thing peeled way back. You can see the pedals peeled back further than the base even, and lost a whole lot of material. Pretty much the same thing we've seen every time with this 5.7 critical defense. And then of course the 22 mag here, obviously that did not do what it was supposed to. You can see there pretty much what I thought might have happened. It kind of just mashed in on itself. It didn't even really lose that insert, it looks like, but I'm pretty sure we've seen this before with these critical defenses in 22 Magnum. But let's get our measurements to see what we're looking at. As far as weight, this 5.7 started at 40 and it's down to 33.4, so no surprise there. There's a lot of fragmentation in the gel. The 22 mag started at 45 and it's down to 44.2, so you probably did lose a couple of crumbs, but not much at all from that one. And then as far as the sizes on them, I think this one I'll do a width and a length. So you got a diameter there of 315 and a length of this whole mangled mess of 426. And then on this Hornady critical defense, the width there across the widest pedal expansion is 348 with a length on this one of 498. So there you go, y'all, the Hornady critical defense 5.7 by 28 versus 22 Magnum. Really no competition here. When you're talking about the same barrel lengths, again, I always, you know, cut up and carry on about 22 Magnum better than 5.7, blah, blah, blah. But I know better. Y'all know I'm just carrying on, I hope, because obviously just the numbers alone tell you that in the same barrel length, there's no question 5.7 by 28 has the edge. Now, obviously, if you go to a 24-inch barrel with this 22 Magnum, you're going to be right there with the 5.7 out of a short barrel, but that's not the point here. The point is doing like for like, and when you're talking about like for like, obviously the 5.7 by 28 easily takes the win. All right, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up right there for another pretty interesting 5.7 by 28 and 22 Magnum test. Again, really no surprise here. I know numbers alone, when you're doing the math, 5.7 by 28 easily outdoes 22 Magnum in the same barrel length, but y'all know I just can't help giving it a hard time just because I'm not the biggest fan of 5.7. So nothing really new here that we hadn't seen, but it's just nice to have them in the same test, same video, so you got something to point at when the smack talking starts in the comments. But let me know what y'all think about it down in the comments. Any of y'all out there run either one of these rounds in 5.7 or 22 mag? If you do, what are you running in? What do you think about it? If you're calling a winner right here based on performance alone, what are you calling? And I guess if you were to throw in other factors as far as cost, availability, you know, what you're using it for, you know, if you're just using this stuff for varmint rounds, it's pretty much a waste to use a 5.7 in my opinion. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. If you did enjoy the video, take a second and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you've got your notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload stuff. Big thanks again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got one more really interesting thing planned for out here today, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.